Hello everyone! Welcome back to another 2v2 battle. This is going to be one where me and Surreal I've played a couple games, so this is going to be one of them. Now, I'm bringing Bretonia, Surreal is bringing the Orcs. We're fighting against the Dwarves and a Chaos faction. I have 4 Spearmen in the front, a Damsel, a Paladin, 2 Peasant Bows, 3 Men-at-Arms, 2 Knights of the Realm, and 2 Grail Knights back here, and of course the King mounted on his Hippogriff. Surreal has brought 2 Savage Orc Boar Boys in the back. We have 3 goblins in the front, 2 savage orcs, 2 orc biggins, 2 black orcs, 3 night goblin archer fanatics, Grimgore, and a orc shaman. The chaos player has brought a line of chaos warriors and a couple of chosen as well. Very, very tough infantry. They have Archeon the Ever-Chosen, Exalted Hero, 2 chaos spawn, a group of Forsaken out here in the front. And then the dwarf player has brought 4 cannons, 3 thunderers, a runesmith, a generic lord, and then a bunch of longbeards. Now, me and Surreal have played against a lot of defensive players. And we're just accustomed to having to be the ones in charge. But I'm going to be honest, we're just kind of getting tired of charging into a defensive formation of people who just pick a spot and sit there, which is a totally fine way to play it. Listen, you play it, that's totally fine. It's just we play against a lot of it, and you know, sometimes we get a little tired. So what I decided to do here, Surreal and me are just going to kind of park on the lip of this hill, and I'm just going to fly back and forth and just kind of tease and taunt these defensive players. And look at this formation that they're getting into. Like, they're getting into a total box. The Longbeards are going to kind of spread out, and this is just going to be a total box covering these cannons. But I don't care. My army is up enough to the lip of the edge where these cannons that are missing our king are just going and hitting nothing. And this is going to keep going. These Savage Orcs are going to park themselves in the forest over here. And you're going to see, this is a 17-minute game. How much of that do you think is going to be fighting? Just place your bets right now. I'm not going to say it quite yet. Now, the thing is, the king has regeneration. So, whatever shots may hit him, as long as you don't get hit a lot, you're just going to regenerate the cannon shots. So I'm totally okay with this. Eventually, I'm going to shake it up. I'm going to move back and forth a little bit more instead of just these like long flight patterns. Here we go. Archeon's going to cast a fireball at King Lewin. I'm guessing they just want to try and bring him down as fast as possible, so then we will feel obliged to charge their position. But I say no to that because I'm on a flying mount, so all you got to do is kind of cut in and around the fireball to make it dodge. It's not that hard. And then these cannons are going to continue to fire upon King. They get a hit here and there. And oh man, what's that? It's another fireball from Archeon. Oh no, what will I do? We're just going to cut into the fireball and have it dodge us. Man, that was close. Super, super close. Now during this time, me and Surreal are just laughing it up. We're just having a grand old time talking about whatever. So this doesn't really bother us. Now these two players, I don't know, maybe... Because, like, the fireball, shooting a fireball at a flying mount is risky. Especially if they're actively flying at that time and not just standing still. But shooting 2 fireballs is pretty crazy. And these cannons won't stop. This player does not turn them off of fire at will. They just keep letting them fire at the king. So I'm just going to try and waste as much ammo as I can. And here we go. Here's their total defensive box here. They have totally surrounded. Probably in response to seeing these Savage Orcs maybe moving up into the forest. They have kind of boxed it up there. More cannon shots going down. Oh, dodge. Because like the thing is, the cannons are going to shoot where your projected path is at the moment they fire. So when you see them fire, all you have to do is change directions and they're not going to hit you. And here we go. We're going to cut inside and boom, another fireball has been lost to the ether. It's going to blow up above Surreal's army. More winds of magic gone. There he goes. More cannon shots. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to fly that way anymore. We're just going to dive over here. Oh. We're just going to, yep, sidestep that. And then we're going to, oh, nope, nope. And again, we are just cracking up. We are having the time of our lives because they aren't responding to this tactic. They're just letting their Oh, you want another fireball? Here we go. Here's the 3rd fireball. Is this the 4th fireball? Have I lost track? I think this may be the 4th one, actually. As if the previous 3 were not signing up. And look at that. We use the same tactic. We just kind of cut in and around and dodge the fireball. continue to dodge the cannons, and again, any hit that does actually score against King Lewin, he's just going to regenerate anyway. So yeah, we're totally fine with the strategy. So we're just, like I said, I think at this point, like, Surreal is lighting up a cigar. He's just sitting back. He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna light up a cigar, dude. This is gonna take a while. I'm like, yeah, it probably will. So that's what he's doing, and I am just kind of mindlessly clicking back and forth right here. Yep. This has been going on for, I think about 7 minutes now. And you can see some of the ammo is starting to deplete from these cannons. All 4 of them here. They continue firing for quite some time. Again, none of the shots are actually landing even anywhere near my army. And we're just now flying in circles. That's all I'm doing now. I'm just flying in circles. They were also talking in all chat, because I don't think they know how to do the team chat, unfortunately. So they're like, dude, like, I think it was the Chaos player said, they're just wasting your ammo, you gotta stop. But they don't stop. And it's fantastic. Archeon comes out of this defensive line, and I was like, oh wow, what are you doing, buddy? And I was waiting for him to get out a little bit further, and I was going to charge him. Because we regenerate, Archeon does not. So we're going to get some hits in, was what I was thinking, but I was waiting for him to move up to, like, this hill. But what he's actually doing, what he's going to be doing is casting a Flaming Skull back here. I was like, oh man, look at that. This isn't just a fireball. So we immediately start to move as we start getting hit by this Flaming Skull. I'm then going to see his trajectory, and I'm like, okay, well, we're just going to move our spears forward instead of back and following the path of this damn Flaming Skull. So it did a little bit of damage. It did a little bit of damage. It made me move. And it made me distracted to the point where I couldn't move King Lewin as much as I wanted to. So he actually gets shot a couple times here. You can see his health has taken a little bit of damage. But, you know, he's the king, so he's going to regenerate that anyway. And now we're moving our army back up into position so that none of these cannons that are missing the king will accidentally land into our position. And again, we are just kind of cracking up. Then this Runesmith comes out, and I'm like, oh my god. I remember telling him, like, dude, they're trying to cast Rune of Negation on, or not, is it Negation? Wrath and Ruin. Wrath and Ruin, that's it. Rune of Wrath and Ruin on King Lewin Leon Kerr there. But it's only a, it's like a 40-meter range. It's so short. And I was hoping that they would keep coming out, because I was trying to lure them in far away from their army and then just murder the Runesmith. But instead, we just get another fireball that misses, more cannon shots that are missing, and the Runesmith is not going to actually march out here to try and cast the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, which would have been amazing, because I would have pounced on the Runesmith and just murdered him, like, instantaneously. I was very sad. It's not going to happen. He moves out a little bit more. Maybe he's trying to taunt me too, I don't know. But I'm totally okay with just moving back and forth, and we will fast forward. You can see the cannon shots. One of them is almost out, the other one's almost at 50%. The other two are still kind of have a lot of ammo. Kind of. And we just keep dodging, we keep regenerating, and we keep waiting. Because we're just messing around with, you know, some defensive players. Now normally we would have just charged over this hill and taken the fight to them and worn a lot of cannon shots. But no. No, not this time. This time we just play with them. Oh, right, okay, so here comes an Exalted Hero. Not quite sure what they were doing. I'm guessing they wanted to try and draw the king into combat. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to cast one of the 2 spells I brought with the damsel, that buffing one. It's the one with the picture of, like, the dude who has the bald head. It's a buff spell for a single target. So I'm going to be casting that on the king, and then I'm also going to be casting the Sword of Corone, which will lower armor and melee attack of units around him. He is armor piercing because he's on the Hippogriff. There goes the buff spell. This Exalted Hero went out way too far. Now I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to get me to land on the ground so then they can get their cannons firing on me. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Here goes the Sword of Corone. They actually aren't even firing yet. And you can see, this guy just falls so quickly to the king. And we're just going to chase him a little bit. We knock him down. This is how we know that the players are getting a little impatient. And then they try to fire cannons, and I'm like, okay, we'll just dodge all these. We'll dodge all these. That's fine. And then we go back down. And then I'm like, oh man, fireball. Okay, go back up and dodge fireball. Okay, and then we're going to go back down. Listen, flying units are kind of maneuverable if you don't have anything to tie them down. And then we're just going to keep charging this Exalted Hero. And charge. Charge it back towards our lines. He takes more damage. Oh, this is a silly fight. It's like they just sent their Exalted Hero to die. I don't think Surreal's like has moved his army at all. Neither have I. I don't even know if he was watching the game at this point. Here we go. Now their army's going to march forward. I think this is when we finally just... They have no more patience with us anymore. So the Chaos person is actually going to just march forward. I'm going to get a couple more hits on the Exalted Hero here. And then I'm just going to fly out, because we're the king. We've done what we wanted. We have taunted the enemy into leaving their position. So the Chaos player is now going to charge over the hill. It only took about 15 minutes. The king is still relatively fine, even taking multiple cannon shots. Still okay. We're going to be moving our Grail Knights and Knights of the Realm into position to try and flank the cannon position here, which is what I'm doing right there. Cyril is moving his army up a little bit more. And we're just doing more taunting, trying to get the cannons to fire, but they're not doing it anymore.
This is my realm.
So you can see one of them is almost completely out, so that's 800 gold wasted. Because the damage they dealt is just regenerated anyway. Again, for the most part. Here goes Surreal Savage Orcs getting closer. My knights should be moving into this forest here soon. And right now I'm just kind of taunting them some more by flying even closer. They're going to be trying to move their Thunderers in position to fire at me. Which, I expected. I wanted to try and get a couple charges in on units that were isolated. You can see this very defensive formation here trying to protect against the Savage Orcs. Meanwhile, the Chaos player is just going to say, I'm done. And marching their Chaos Warriors, their Chosen, and their Spawn forward over the hill. I don't think they've actually, at this point, because of the way the map is set up, they don't know what we even have. I don't think. I think everything was mostly hidden until they crest this hill. All they knew is that we had the king. I think. And then those Savage Orcs, now they can see these knights that came out of the forest. So we're going to start lighting them up with our Peasant Bows. Again, Bretonnian Infantry has charge defense against all, so in this situation against the higher tier infantry, it's best if you just kind of stand still and take their charge. You also have the Damsel ready to cast her Curse of Midnight Wind. We have the Paladin back here. Meanwhile, the King did a couple charges back here. We got some damage in on one of the cannons that has some hit points left. Or some ammo left. And here comes real Savage Orcs. Meanwhile, the rest of his army is going to be marching forward and to engage this Chaos player who has kind of isolated themselves at this point. I'm going to be moving my Knights back over here to engage against the Chaos player and forget the Dwarf player altogether. Here comes some Goblins. We also have the Night Goblin Fanatics shooting their poisonous arrows into these Chosen and Chaos Warriors, which will lower their stats for a bit. We're taking the charge here with our Spearmen. We're dropping a Curse of the Midnight Wind on these high-tier infantry to lower their attack stats. Spearmen and Men-at-Arms are going to do really well against the Chaos Spawn. They do charge through our Spear line and get into our Peasant Bows, but we are reinforcing with our nearby Men-at-Arms. The King has come back to assist his Peasants and is now fighting against a group of Chaos Warriors over here. The Paladin is also nearby somewhere. Meanwhile, over here, the entire Orc army is engaged with half of the Chaos army here. The Dwarf player is starting to march up their Thunderers, but not really anything else. They have managed to rout a couple, some of the Savage... Well, they did some damage to Savage Orcs. These Savage Orcs back here, Cyril is telling me, he's like, I'm just going to distract the Dwarf player so we can murder the Chaos player first. I'm like, that's a great idea. And it worked for the most part. The only people that were moved up are these Thunderers. And I'm moving my Cav into position to charge up this hill and get into the Thunderers. As our arrows and our savage orcs and our peasants are taking the fight to the chaos. High tier infantry, very high tier. Here's Grimgor. Grimgor is going to do very well against Chaos Chosen, as well as to be expected against such high tier infantry. Orc Biggins are routing these Chaos Warriors on the flank. We have more orcs in the wings ready to get in there. Here comes some more Black Orcs over the hill. Here come my Knights of the Realm charging into these Thunderers who are isolated and alone. We also have 2 Ground Knights coming in behind him. You can see here that since the Chaos player has been isolated, a lot of his warriors have died at this point and are routing. His Chosen are still holding the line, but that's to be expected because they're so good. And I'm now chasing Archeon the Ever Chosen as more of our knights get into these Thunderers back here. The Longbeard support is still very far away due to the Savage Orc distraction. So now we're just chewing through all 3 of their Thunderers. Our Grail Knights, I think, did a rear charge, or is about to, here we go. Is doing a rear charge on some Chosen to try and break them, and that's when both players, they just leave. They, I guess they had enough of that, so good game to my enemies and to Surreal. That was very funny. Again, like, we were just messing with them, because we're tired of being the ones who charge the enemy lines. So we actually are going to do another battle where, we will be the defenders because, well, we deserve to be the defenders every once in a while, right? And not the aggressors. But that will probably be coming out in the next day or two, so look forward to that. But again, good game to everybody. Let's take a look at the kill counts. King Lewin, 25 kills, MVP. The Knights got a lot of kills there at the very end. Pesabo's got some kills against the Chaos Warriors and Chosen. Spearman even got some kills too, which is kind of crazy. Because those against Chaos Warriors and Chosen, that's insane. Let's see, Surreal in the brief fight, 21 kills for Grimgor, a couple kills on the Savage Orcs on the Night Goblin Fanatics, which is kind of impressive. Savage Orcs wrecking in a lot of kills, Biggins getting a lot of kills, and the Black Orcs, for the small amount of fighting, did pretty well. High amount of kills relatively from the Chaos player here, except for Archeon, who was dueling the King, and he had to pull back. Exalted Hero got 30 kills, even though he almost killed him with the King. And yeah, high amount of kills overall for this short engagement for the Chaos player. For the Dwarf player, these Longbeards killed some Savage Orcs. And I guess these cannons probably also killed Savage Orcs. I don't think they shot at any other units. So I'm assuming that's from the Savage Orc charge. I'm assuming. I'm also assuming that since there was so little combat, that this player upgraded all of these units with the chevrons before the battle. 3 chevrons into each of these cannons. Holy crap. That has to be at least around like almost 1,000, right? Probably. For each one of those cannons. But yeah, good game to my opponent and my and to Surreal. Hope you enjoyed. It was a little bit of a weird one. The actual fighting that took place was what, like 2 or 3 minutes, but I don't know. We were having the time of our lives just watching the King dodge literally everything. It was a lot of fun. But anyway, I will see you all next time. Hope you all have a good day. Leave your suggestions on what you would like to see in the comment section below. Take care.